Alrighty guys, we've landed in Sazan Island. This is the quote-unquote beach they're calling it. I guess from our vantage straight in front of us is the Adriatic Park, and to the right of that is back to Vlorë. As you can see, the water is crystal clear. These are the people who take other either ferries, or not ferries, but speedboats over here. But yeah, you can definitely see the water's beautiful. Definitely clearer than it was in Vlorë. Since this was at one point in time a communist military base, there's going to be more bunkers like this one here in front of us than probably in other parts of Albania. I think the last time I read it was somewhere between like 700,000 to 1 million bunkers throughout the entire country. You can see some of the buildings on the hilltop there from the old military base. And then the Vlorë Peninsula there, beyond the dock.
We're leaving the beach now. Down here at the water's edge, Sazan looks like a postcard. Turquoise shallows, pale stone, the kind of coast people fly across the world to find. But the beach isn't the story of this island. The story is up there, in the interior, past the tree line, where almost no one was permitted to go for most of the last 100 years. So that's where we're headed. Let me tell you where we are first. This is Sazan, the largest island in Albania, a little under 6 square kilometers of rock and pine sitting right at the mouth of the Bay of Vlorë. Look at the map and you'll see why men have fought over it for 2,000 years. It sits in the seam where the Adriatic and the Ionian seas meet, guarding the Strait of Otranto, the narrow neck of water between Albania and Italy. Whoever holds Sazan holds the doorway to the Adriatic. That's not poetry. That's the reason for everything you're about to see. The terrain climbs fast. The shore gives way to slope almost immediately, and the slope is steep, uneven, rocky underfoot. This is not groomed ground, this is a place that was left alone. And as we climb, the vegetation closes in around us, and it is dense. Thick stands of pine, Mediterranean scrub crowding the path, juniper, myrtle, wild olive. Somewhere around 300 species of plants grow on this island, and they grow with the particular wildness of land that no one has tended and no one has paved. It is genuinely lush. People don't expect that from a former military base, but that's exactly the point. The military is the reason it's lush. Around 40 species nest here, in the cliffs and the canopy, the alpine swift cutting through the air, and the Eurasian eagle owl, one of the largest owls in the world, somewhere back in the shadows. On the ground, the small, quiet residents. Rabbits, hedgehogs, lizards slipping off the warm stone as you pass. And then, as we come up over the rise, you start to see them, the bunkers. There are thousands of them on this island. By most accounts, somewhere around 3,600. Small mushroom-shaped concrete domes scattered across the hills, blending into the rock so completely that from the sea you'd miss them. They are the signature of Enver Hoxha's Albania. Hoxha ran this country from 1944 until his death in 1985, and he was gripped by the conviction that an invasion was always coming, from the west, from anyone. So he hardened this island into what officers of the era called the country's aircraft carrier. A 1961 CIA memo called Sazan a red Gibraltar in the Mediterranean. With Soviet help, Hoxha riddled it with bunkers, trenches, and a secret tunnel network. Tunnels reportedly built to hide submarines inside the island itself. Keep to the path through here. I mean that literally. The interior of Sazan still holds undetonated munitions and, by many accounts, landmines in the ground off the established routes. The tunnels are sealed, you're not permitted inside them, and you wouldn't want to be. This is beautiful country, but it is not safe country to wander. Walk a little further and you come to the ghosts. Because Sazan wasn't only guns and concrete, people lived up here, as many as 3,000 troops and their families, an entire community on a sealed island. And they left behind a whole town, roofless barracks, a school, a cinema, a hospital, apartment blocks standing gutted and open to the sky, the interior stripped, some of the storerooms looted back in the 90s. You walk through it, and there are still the bones of ordinary life, beds, chairs, a bottle decades old on a shelf. And then, around 1970, the people went and the pine and the salt air began the slow work of taking it all back. That's the thing that strikes you most up here. Two truths laid right on top of each other. This island was a weapon. It was also, in its way, a cage. Those defenses weren't only built to keep enemies out, they were built to keep Albanians in, to stop people from fleeing across the water to Italy. A shield and a prison at once. And yet, because the military sealed it off for 50 years, because no developer ever touched it, because no crowds ever came, nature was left almost completely alone, and it flourished. The cage became a sanctuary. That's why, in 2010, the government drew a protective ring around the whole of it. The Karaburun-Sazan National Marine Park, Albania's first and only national marine park. The real treasure here isn't even on the land, it's in the water around us. Beneath that surface are seagrass meadows, red coral, sponges, octopus, the wrecks of ancient ships going back to Greece and Rome. These waters shelter the endangered Mediterranean monk seal, nesting loggerhead turtles, and the flamingos you've heard me talk about before. An ecosystem that recovered precisely because human beings were kept away from it. A place the regime accidentally preserved. A place the nation, when the regime fell, reclaimed for itself and for nature both. Which is why I climbed up here to show you all of this, because right now, this island and the protected wetlands across the water at Vjosa Narta and Zvernik sit at the center of a proposed luxury resort development. It's backed by Jared Kushner's investment firm, Affinity Partners, and its partner Atlantic Incubation Partners, with Ivanka Trump involved in the plans. Roughly $1.5 billion for the island, part of a far larger figure for the coast. The Albanian government has granted it special strategic investor status and championed it as a transformative venture for the country's tourism and its EU ambitions. It's been marketed as an eco-resort. One of the people behind it called this island a fixer-upper. Environmental groups in Albania and across Europe have condemned the work, one local group warning that long-protected habitats are being irreversibly destroyed. And Albania's own anti-corruption authority has confirmed it opened an investigation connected to the project. I've covered the details of all of that in earlier videos. The process, the law that was changed, the protests, the flamingos that became the symbol of this whole fight. I'll point you to those in the description below, and I won't relitigate the entire controversy standing here. I just wanted you to walk the island with me first, to see what's actually up here. The bunkers and the birds, the ruined cinema and the eagle owl, the cage that became a sanctuary before anyone decides what it should become. Because a place like this fought over for 2,000 years, sealed away for 50, healed in the silence. That is not a fixer-upper. It was never nothing. So, is Sazan the fortress that became a sanctuary that Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump want to make a fortress once more, but this time not an Albanian communist stronghold, but one for the rich and powerful to sip martinis and pina coladas while the world burns from climate change? Let me know in the comments below, and if you watched all 3 videos in this series, what are your thoughts? Should Zvernik and Sazan be saved by the rapacious willing to destroy one of the last wild climates on Earth?
As you can see, there's a lot of natural beauty here. I was only able to basically stay close to the interior, but you can definitely see why Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner wanted to go and make this into a private resort. If you haven't watched my videos on Zvernik and the protests, go and watch those next. Take care, guys, and have a great day.